Hello friends, this is Jay Hendricks with Powerful Thought Online. I have to talk kind of quiet because people are asleep in the house. Anyway, today I wanted to do another Powerful Thought community video. These videos are based on comments and emails from people like you. If anyone is having collaborative discussions with me and it inspires me or causes me to think, then I like to make collaborative videos like this. So today's video comes from Michael Bound. He has his own YouTube channel called Michael Bound. I like his style. He's very authentic and striking and has a lot of satire that's really funny. So check him out, Michael Bound. So these thoughts from him today. First of all, we had a discussion a few days ago, and you can find the comments I'll be talking about under my video called A Practical Way of Being. It's the video just before this one. Anyway, he was talking about mindfulness and how he practices the drums and how that practicing with metronomes, practicing concentration on the beats, you're able to determine when you're going off beat a lot better and a lot quicker than traditional mindfulness training. So this is where he begins his comments. Using a musical instrument like the drums operates analogous to neural feedback training, something which mindfulness meditation lacks. You're never given any signals about when you're falling out of the breath and wandering off into thought land. You have to wait until, ironically, the thing you're meant to be regulating, the thinking mind, has to make you aware of the fact that you're trailing off. This trailing off mechanism is actually a very natural cognitive effect. We lose our sense of identity several times a day without even realizing it. And for those very brief moments, although not ideally so, everyone experiences a momentary enlightenment. It's an interesting idea. So, going back to mindfulness meditation, you're using your thinking mind to become aware of where you're trailing off in daydreams, and that in turn causes you to think more. I don't particularly subscribe to the idea that we need to completely have blank minds. I think our minds should be stilled enough to where they're receiving vibrations from the soul. So the mind should be a reflector. And how do we do this? I think we do this by Raja Yoga. Meditation is a way to do it. That's the way I teach on this channel. Mindfulness, his practice of practicing drums is very useful because it's grounding the internal world in the external world. To me, consciousness is a relationship. That's how I would generally describe consciousness. I don't think consciousness is a field or a material or a ocean. I think it's a relationship between two points of awareness. So I'm a point of awareness, you're a point of awareness. Every single atom in your body, in your environment, is a point of awareness. It's an atom, an atom, in a particular place or location. That's what at means, in a particular place or location. So an atom is in a particular place or location. So these are all points of awareness, and our relationship to every single one of them is consciousness. So to me, Michael Bound talking about practicing the drums and his concentration is grounding the internal world and the external world, and the relationship between the internal world and the external world strengthens. With mindfulness, a lot of mindfulness meditation out there, which is what I think Michael Bound's referring to, is it is kind of geared to keep you in your mind, like he was saying. So you're trying to still the mind by having the mind vibrate so that you're aware to actually still the mind. So it's this loop that you never achieve the stillness of the mind. But if you ground your practice in external reality and you have the proper relationship between the internal and the external worlds, then there comes a point to where your thinking, you can rise above your thinking. And the thinking is always kind of a flowing river, but you're able to pull out the fishes out of the river whenever you want. So you can select whatever thought you want to develop and think about, and you're just a unnameable observer observing the river of thoughts. So it's in that transcendent state where you realize that you do indeed have free choice, because you can see the determined processes of thoughts, emotions, body, and how you, as a fully aware, unnameable observer, can select and develop and calm and anything you choose within that range of energy, thought, emotion, body. Anyway, so he continues, for me, he would say, mindfulness meditation is outdated. I'm always for improved systems. The brain learns best through feedback, and even negative feedback is theoretically better than no feedback. Imagine you're in a foreign dark room and you've lost your sense of touch, and let's say the other senses couldn't advantage you. You'd have no idea how to navigate out of it. It's better to at least experience minor pain from various objects in the environment to give you indications on where to move than no sense of touch at all. But of course, too painful is often when negative feedback becomes counterproductive. That is, unless, of course, the darkroom happens to be otherwise outside of touch, extremely comfortable. I imagine it'd feel something like anti-gravity, maybe, who knows. It's amazing how something as simple as a sense of touch influences our perception of reality. For example, we take for granted the fact that our feet are nearly always experiencing signals from the ground that influence our spatial orientation, and if it's not our feet, it's some other part of the body. So that's, to me, that's a good representation of why bodies are so important. I know scientists have tried to develop artificial intelligence that can perceive environments and make decisions, but it is actually impossible. It's impossible to get a robot or a computer to see anything. Because they don't understand how our minds separate things into objects. Scientists don't know how we take this field of endless atoms and potential and how our mind separates them into different potentials. That's the mystery of the mind, really. And I would argue that you're seeing the relationship between things. And that's what consciousness is. So you're able to see the difference in potentials in different objects. So, if one object is made of, you're seeing all the atoms and how they're related. Instead of a book, you're seeing how the atoms are all related to each other. And, that it's not a part of this desk. So it's separate than the desk, and the desk is made of different potentials anyway. So, okay. This sort of proves to me, he continues, this sort of proves to me that we orient ourselves in the world relative to our feedback from it. So we ought to base improvements in orientation, such as equipping ourselves with mindfulness principles, with ways that we can get feedback from the environment to inform us whether we're doing well or not. So to me, this is interesting because our bodies are an extension of, it's like a chain of relationship that causes us to be able to contact the environment. Without our bodies, we couldn't contact the environment, and we would actually forget we exist. It's funny to me, some of the teachers that say, hey, we're all the same being, we're all God. We're alone. And it's you and me are the same being. The problem with that is that anything that's self-aware had to have collided with something that it is not in order to even know it exists. So just the fact that you are self-aware means that you're contacting something that is not you. If you never contacted anything that wasn't you, you wouldn't even know you exist. It's that collision with something that's not you that makes you realize that's not me. Oh, and I exist. So we have to collide with the not self in order to even realize we exist as individuals. If it were true that the universe was one being, we're all one. If that were true, we would not be aware. What is it colliding with to know it exists? Anyway. Okay, where did I leave off? He says, we often compare against the social environment regarding how well we're doing or how society is doing. A law of correlation there, law of correspondence. But that measurement is often flawed because we only know relative to the past how well society is going or compared to idealized futures, which also happen to be only based on the past. And given the average person is mostly ill-equipped in these areas, and I'd classify myself as only moderately equipped, still need to improve, it's easy to get a false confidence from what we believe to be a good gauge, but is often just a vague and therefore inaccurate temperature of the actual bowl of water we're stuck in. That whole analogy between how the reality we experience is similar to just fish being stuck in their fish bowls. It's an interesting idea. I think it corresponds to what I was saying. He continues, so yeah, improved feedback is an improved reality test, and improved feedback can only come from one of two ways. Improved internal world, like how when we get better at tennis, we can better gauge the flow of a competitive match. So improved corresponding cognition, or how something like the use of Hawkeye in a tennis match gives us a better reading on whether a ball was in or out. Improved external tools, technology. For example, if I was severely mentally handicapped relative to the rest of the population, that would mean explicitly, of course, is that my brain cannot generate accurate internal feedback about the world, nor can it even read signals from tools in the external world that are designed to give me feedback that I can't generate myself in my internal environment. So an understanding of feedback really gets to the heart of a lot of our problems on the planet. Something I'm certainly not an expert on by habit, but have an understanding of in principle. But that understanding wavers because my brain activity wavers from day to day, of course. I like these ideas because it shows that that's the importance of the message of the resurrection and a perfect body. If we were to actually become God incarnate or in reality, we would need a perfect body to contact the everything else with. So the more we peel back the illusions of the mental plane, the emotional plane, the physical plane, which I would say is illusion on the mental plane, glamour on the emotional plane, and Maya in the physical plane. As we peel those back and concentrate on them and dissolve them, contact with higher energies, more subtle energies, changes our bodies. It refines our bodies. And the idea of the resurrection is a full manifestation of that. It's peeling back all of the layers. Your body is transformed into a perfect mechanism, or a perfect, mechanism that can deal with reality. Now, as we peel these layers back, we experience pain. Pain, to me, is misalignment. It means that our emotions and our sensories, they're not perfectly aligned to where they're processing reality perfectly. Pain is the result of not processing perfectly, I would say. So, let's see. This is difficult stuff to talk about. So, let me see. Like a Band-Aid. When you wear a Band-Aid for a while and then you take it off, your skin's very sensitive and it's very uncomfortable. Like even a breeze on your finger makes you want to get the chills. So that increased sensitivity is good, but when you first take that Band-Aid off, it's, painful and unbearable and uncomfortable, let's say. So the more you peel back illusion, metaphorically speaking, and glamour, the misinterpreted parts of your ego, as you stir those up and clarify them, you're exposing yourself to more of reality. You're becoming more vulnerable, and that's painful. So our daily lives are like a collision. We're constantly colliding with the not self, causing us to know what to remove and clarify and integrate in our daily lives. And this is the development process. So how to deal with pain is an interesting, problem I have had some experiences with, quite a few experiences with. I've noticed that when I literally, even physical pain, if I have, let's say, pulled my leg or I'll tell this story. I used to be an electrician, so there was one week where I was on my knees most of the time. And I went home that weekend and I applied my technique of concentration onto my knee, my right knee. And what I would do is I would find the point in my knee that hurt the most. And I would fully concentrate on that and fully feel the pain as fully as I could. And as you get better at this, the pain is there, but you can be observing it instead of dwelling on it and I am in pain. It's more like that is pain in the leg right there. So then concentration upon this pain and feeling it fully, at the same time allowing the vibration of Om, which is in all atoms, allowing that vibration to release itself. It causes the pain to be processed through, and then the pain will slowly move to other channels and other parts of the leg, and you just concentrate. I think I concentrated on it for an hour or so, and I would just follow it around different parts of my leg and everything, and then it would drop into a deeper part of the leg, and then there's almost this feeling of losing vitality, let's say. It feels like you're sinking, and you keep focusing, and at this point your concentration is very strong, and the vibration is unwinding all this pain, and so it's the sinking feeling happens, and then eventually it pops, and my whole leg just went, and it was perfect. So it was as if it was completely healed, let's say. Now that may be woo-woo to you, but it's real. It actually happened to me. Now these things are very esoteric and hard to describe, but I've done that on organs in my body. I've done that in my hands, in my head, at the chakra centers, all over. And to me, concentration, and as it builds and builds and builds, it gathers matter together and then collapses on itself like a black hole and releases energy, and balance is restored. On my back, one time I went golfing and tweaked my back, and I would just focus, and I had one of those, when you, what is it called? When your back goes out and you can barely move. I had that, and I'd get into a position where it would fire up, and I would just focus on that pain till I thought I was gonna pass out, and it was only a few seconds, and then it would pop, and my whole back would wiggle around in energy, and it would be perfectly fine and healed. So some of the benefits of concentration and meditation, but I think doing this process at subtler levels, like the emotions, the thoughts, contacting higher grades of energy, contacting the soul realm, which is above the mental plane. This is what causes your cells to upgrade and change. And we can change our DNA and eventually, hopefully, die correctly and become resurrected at the end of our lives if we die in the right way. Anyway, little ramble for you today. I appreciate Michael Bound's thoughts. Check out his channel, Michael Bound. Please like and subscribe. I'm Jay Hendricks with Powerful Thought Online. Have a good day. Bye.